Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started.
So now that we've gone through the podcast, you used the podcast, it helped you build relationships. Right. How did you first come up to a summit? Like take us back to the first moment you heard of, learned of, thought of a summit.
Pretty sure I saw some in the health space, like Sean Croxton was pretty big. I saw some of his stuff. He's not really doing that too much anymore. Probably got a little bored of it. He did so many. But like he did some massive ones. I saw a lot of in the health space especially. Not so much in the entrepreneurial space. I did see some old school like telesummits, but it was not really appealing to me. I wanted to innovate a little bit. Obviously at the time I didn't know how to do it. So I kind of reverse engineer a little bit what I saw was working, bring in some of what I was doing, and that's kind of seemed to be working, and had a little bit more speakers than I wanted for my first one. I had like 88 speakers, like people started reaching out to me. That's kind of what happened. Like honestly, like I was not known by any means, but still people started reaching out to me and saying, hey, I want to be on this summit. I felt it hard to say no at that time. Like, and they were still good. Yeah, it was not so easy to be honest, because, a handful of them also shared, and we built relationships that way. Some I had also had featured in a blog post before, so that I had some relationships lined up ahead of time for the summit. So yeah.
And so with that summit, like how did that help you, your business, your brand at that moment? Like what were some of the results?
Yeah. As I said, I've been working 18 months. Before, that was like October. I almost gave up actually because there was so much work and all this. October 2014, and I was in my apartment in Sweden, like hard to wake up. I was having to go to that job, and I really wanted to quit that job. That was like at the bank, doing collections or whatever. It was super boring for me. Like I was like working on my business a little bit when the boss wasn't looking. That's kind of how it was, to be honest. Yeah. I had like too many windows, and then like taking calls and like trying to get off the phone to start working on this, and that's kind of how it was. But then everything kicked off. I communicated with affiliates and all this. It was kind of a little bit, some parts were rushed because as I said, I was doing everything on my own. I had some help with the website. That designer and developer is still on my team today. So I like invested, even though I didn't have that much money, but I invested in that because there was no templates or anything around when I did it. So that helped a lot. I think the branding was pretty good at the time for what we did. And then just launched it. People started promoting it, and I saw like the first sale. I think one of the first sales was from someone in rural Russia. I still remember that. If you bought VSM, you might have seen in one of my emails. I always screenshot this because that's a pivotal moment for me when I got that first sale. And then they just started to snowball. I was like at the gym getting sales, and it was like pretty fun because I never experienced that. It's like when you create your first product. I think it's like I had some affiliate sales before that, but like this was my first product on my own, and that really was life-changing to me. And I started.
So take us to the gym. Are you checking it on your phone, or what?
I was like having it there, like.
And you're seeing it. Like what was going through your mind?
I was like. There was not an I made it moment by any means, like anything like this, but I was like, this is pretty cool. I'm like 10 sales like this day, and then I had someone reaching out to me, and she wanted to buy 50 all access passes, like for a company or something, because it was like corporate, and that was $5,000. $5,000. And that was the day I turned in my notice for my job. I didn't do it exact that time, but that same day, that's when the transfer came, or the PayPal payment or whatever. That same day, and I just basically walked in. And usually it's like a month you have to like it, but the boss has already seen kind of I'm like really not feeling it anymore. So she's like, okay, you can leave in like 1 week or 2 weeks. So it was fun because that's like when the summit really took off. I grew my list with about 3,000 people and $20,000 in profit. That sounds maybe to what I'm doing today is nothing, but that was life-changing money at the time for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you pay your dad rent for the next 3 years right there?
No, because I just actually, first I went to Thailand for a little bit, but then I went to Cabo San Lucas. That was my first thing. So I just kind of I left. I left Sweden. I have actually not lived there since.
Oh my gosh, that really was a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
And it changed everything.
I became a digital nomad. I lived in a lot of
let's
different places.
let's walk through that journey then. So now you're in Cabo, and like, what's next? Like, are you starting to think about what's next, or are you now like thinking summits, or like what were you, where were you at that moment?
Stage? Now I'm like when I book trips and stuff, I book sometimes last minute and stuff, but like there I had booked, like with Cancun, I booked Cabo, then I booked Cancun, then I knew I was going to the San Diego for some events and stuff like this. So I was like living in a few different places, and so that was pretty fun. And then I went back to Cancun actually, and that was pretty life-changing. I've lived in different places there. It was really fun actually to live right there on the beach and have that lifestyle for a little bit. And then lived in London, lived in Barcelona, now I'm in Panama. So even lived in Malta for a short bit, but I didn't like it. So I'm always like this. I before I moved to Panama, actually, I had never been to Panama actually. I just researched for different purposes that would suit my business.
Virtual Summit's software makes hosting a summit easier than ever. The only software in the world designed specifically for hosting a summit lets you set up a summit in a matter of hours with no tech skill or team needed. You can try out the Virtual Summit's software free at virtualsummits.com. But hurry, this is a limited offer.
Well, let's jump forward a little bit. Like, where did Virtual Summit Mastery come from? Where was the inception of that?
That was actually like so many people from my first summit, the branding summit, which went really well. People started asking about it, and I thought, okay, I didn't really want to do it because my success might be a one-hit wonder or whatever. But I got some people into a pilot. I sold it extremely cheap at the time. Like, it was really, now it's a premium product. Like, we have a lot of templates and stuff like this. But at the time, it was like I didn't have any content created, so I pre-sold it, and I got maybe a dozen people or something like this. Then I think I got a few dozen before I had the first public launch. But something I did after, because I didn't really have anything planned out for my first product after that summit, so I actually promoted an affiliate product the month after. And I would say that was even more life-changing money than the summit, because I promoted some of you might have heard Ramit Sethi. I was when he had this affiliate program, I was one of his top affiliates for that launch, like John Lee Dumas, like even his brother, Laura Roeder, many top people that had massive lists they promoted. I had a list of about 3,500 people. I finished #1 for that launch and got like $32,000 in sales or something like this. And I also won his cash price, came out to over $40,000 that month. For just afterwards, landed me publicity and stuff like that in Business Insider, grew my list even further. That story went viral, how someone from Sweden living on the beach. They kind of like that stuff there. It was a little bit exaggerated, but they made it sound pretty good, and that went viral. And
yeah. Well, I'm sure it felt good too, to be living on the beach making 40 grand. So if we look at I'm curious, what does Virtual Summit Mastery mean to you? Like, what does the program mean to you? Why do you do it?
Yeah, as I said, I was born after that summit because people started asking. So it's kind of what I've been working for so long, and the word for this event here is evolution, right? And I think I've evolved what I'm doing a lot. I think the people in my program, especially the people who came in early, they have seen what I've done over the years. Like, we have, the pilot, which was like really, I don't want to talk about that too much. And then we have the 1.0, 2.0. Like, the 1.0 was in September 2015. That actually was a great, a lot of people came in, was a lot of buzz for it and stuff like this. Then 2.0, and then now 3.0. So I've been doing this for quite some time, reiterated, make sure people, like every struggle I was having, I wanted to make sure my students get like templates for everything. So I'm not just for one platform like some people teaching, I'm trying to like, your software or like, different WordPress platforms, ClickFunnels, Kartra. I don't care what people use, it's the strategy that matters, to be honest. And that's what some people kind of get wrong sometimes, I feel. And I'm just trying to give more solutions, because I do believe that great branding design is very important, because you're going to put your speakers on there and you want to make sure they look good. That was always very important for me since the very beginning, I did this to make sure the branding is on point, and all my students get that, they get fill in the blank copy, all of that. And it took me a long time to create.
Well, so with this, how many students have you gone through from that beta group all the way up to now?
I think we have like 600, 700 students.
700 students.
Yeah.
You have a thriving community in there.
Yeah.
I've seen the engagement and the activity that goes on. So you've seen a lot of summits that happen. Most of your students have run, several summits, and you have amazing kind of testimonials or case studies on those students.
Yep.
So what's something because you've seen this, you've been in it for so long, what's something that you've seen that has already evolved from when you first started summits to now?
I think it's more about kind of how people structure everyone has evolved, I guess, but the funnels itself, like wasn't more, I think with Chandler Bolt was one of my first kind of big clients, I would say. I mean, that transformed his business at the time. Now he's doing big things and stuff like this, but like he did 2 summits, and we decided to actually sell his course in the back end. So we started already dabbling with this at a time. Most people just use summits as a list build. That's kind of what these tele-summits was for, but I knew that you can make great money from an all-access pass. You can, but in most cases, it's gonna come from what you're doing afterward. What are you actually doing with this list? How are you nurturing this? How do you getting all these relationships with the speakers and stuff like that to maybe continue to promote, or you promote for them. So that's kind of what we added a layer. So we had a summit, did really well, like 30,000 opt-ins, and then we had a course in the back end. So let's say the summit all access pass did about $120,000. Then the course, combined sales were like $350,000, $370,000. And then you can leverage that even further because not everyone buys right away. So, but now we are seeing we're adding like a bump offer to the checkout to increase the order value, and then maybe a one-click upsell and stuff like this. That's like small tweaks that can have a massive difference. I'm not saying you need to do all this right away. If it's your first summit, you're already overwhelmed, don't worry. Like focus on the offer for the all access pass. I think that's great. And if you make sales there, you can like reiterate. But like a bump offer could be like session notes, could be like a swipe vault of some kind, or even a past summit potentially, or like a one-click upsell. We even launched a new product like this. Like we had for my recent summit I had like a funnel. We had like a funnel wizard with a lot of templates because I knew what people were struggling with when they went through list building school, which is one of my summits, right? So
well, let's dive into that. You just recently launched this, and again. What's one of the key things that you would say you did with the List Builder Summit that was attributed most of its success?
One of the things we have started doing, and that was actually before the second iteration of that one, but we started adding like a one-time offer with deadline funnel on our offer page. So people opt in, then you have like a limited time offer for like 15 minutes or something like this. I was scared because I had like a $97 offer usually, but then we lowered it to $67. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna lose out on sales and all this. Actually, it was not true because we're getting so many more sales for it. And that was game changing actually when we implemented that. And then just going up to $97 afterwards. And we've tested this in so many markets. I think everyone, even if you think that might not really work, whatever, try it out. Like you might want to increase that time a little bit depending on niche, but still like around 15, 30 minutes, max an hour. That works really well, actually. That was one thing we did. And also the other thing I wanted to get into is the second iteration of List Building School. We actually did evergreen from the beginning. So that kind of comes back to the last session here, which was great, by the way. And we basically did it with partners right away. So we wanted to get that buzz, like a live launch, but it was evergreen, so people could come in whenever. So let's say partner one couldn't promote, like a big influencer. Well, I told them, okay, promote next month when you have less stuff going on. And I did that. And that's something you can keep running. You can have people added to their nurture sequence and stuff like this. So that's something we have seen working pretty well to keep Summit going. Obviously, you still need that buzz. You need to drive traffic to be able to get that. I see that sometimes even in my community, like, okay, we turned it Summit evergreen, but now what? I mean, yes, you need to drive traffic in some way, and it becomes easier if you have that full customer journey mapped out. If you have, let's say, a bump offer, one-click upsell potentially, and then you have something in the back end, because you can't, Summit is pretty low price. It's entry point in your customer journey. How are you going to run paid traffic to just a cheap offer like that. It's very difficult to, be profitable. So you need something in the back end that way. And obviously with partners, it can become, an extra driver of traffic that we've seen.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
And we're gonna switch over to some Q&A here in a few minutes, just so you go ahead and start thinking of your questions, write them down. We're gonna open that up in a couple more minutes. Moving forward with the List Builder Summit, looking at how you've watched summits essentially evolve up to this point. As you said, the theme here is evolution.
Yeah.
You've created some differences, some changes, some evolution in your summits and how you're running those. What do you see coming? Like what's going to happen? Like maybe 2 years out and maybe even 10 years out. Like are summits dead in 10 years or what's going to happen?
I mean, summits has been around for a long time. I don't think they're going anywhere. Just like webinars and stuff, it's just evolving, right? And I think with the technology, like we are going to see higher quality summits. That's something I've started doing. I haven't seen too many, but you can do it in person, right? That's just very expensive, like these docu-series. I had a student do that. That's great, but she said, I'm never doing it again because it's so expensive, like to put together. So I think you will see that going if you have a bigger production budget. But I think also just upping your studio. If you have a home or whatever, you can take one room or a part of your house or whatever to make a little better production, not just a Zoom session. That's great, you can do it at a certain point, but you can add a capture card, maybe a camera like this, Sony, just a point and shoot, or even a Sony a6400 or whatever, and just connect it, and then you're gonna have so much better quality for your videos. And then obviously it's about educating your speakers a little bit to have up their game, but at least you can look pretty crisp, and you can also do that with the speakers. But going on to more strategy point, I think what you are doing with the one-day summits, I think something we started also talking to our students, that you can do that to promote affiliate offers, right? I think that's really powerful. I'm a big affiliate marketer. That's not something I talk a lot about, but I could just quit everything I'm doing and just do affiliate marketing, basically. That's how good it is for, promoting different tools, right, I'm using, and promoting some courses occasionally that I'm affiliate for, and that's great. I do the organic side, but also do it, to my list, and I do it from summits, actually. I have some sponsors on board sometimes, and I bring them on board either as usually brand partners for me. They come on board as kind of affiliate partners, but we have also had more students bringing on paid sponsors depending on the niche, right? So I think all that, just thinking about how you can make it bridge the gap between a live in-person event, right, when you have all this, but a virtual event, because you can actually give sponsors and everyone involved a lot more, because an event like this that ends after a few days, right? And then a summit can live on forever, pretty much, if you do it correctly. So, and that's something I'm excited about, something I'm thinking of, and how I'm kind of educating my students.
If you guys are down to stay longer, I'll stay longer too. So we don't have to leave New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't have to end.
Doesn't have to end.
Tell me it doesn't have to end.
Yeah.
No. So kind of one last topic I want you to talk about, because I feel like you do this very well. And we saw on your most recent summit is the relationships you bring with the speakers and getting those speakers to actually promote for you. We commonly hear some hosts complaining about speakers not promoting.
Yeah.
How do you get such quality people to promote you on your summit?
Yeah, so some people might know me when I reach out at this point, but honestly, a lot of them have never promoted me before. So that's still a big ask, right? How do you do that? So usually, you have to have a little bit, you have to know a little bit who they are. If it's super big influencer, let's say Dean Graziosi or Gary Vaynerchuk, someone like that, you're not gonna just say, hey, let's get on a call, discuss this, because you're not exactly you don't have maybe a million, you don't have as many people on your list. But if it's someone somewhat your level or maybe a few steps ahead, get on a quick call with them, to be honest, and try to build some kind of friendship. Focus on them. That's what I do. I'm trying to see how I can support them, how I can make them look like a total rock star on this summit, but also beyond, because I'm thinking with, how I can actually promote this ongoing, like with evergreen, basically starting with the end in mind a little bit, how I can actually, repurpose this content. So I do bring that up. So I don't just say, okay, this is a summit, then it's gonna collect dust in a membership site. That's basically what most summits are. They're, they speak, and they're just live for like 24 hours to 48 hours, then it's gone. And I kind of don't want that to happen, so I kind of mentioned that up front, because they might not be aware how we do things. So I'm trying to like put that up front to them, and we do these calls, usually like 90, pretty much everyone they say yes. I mean, I don't know, to me at least. Obviously we have students who don't get everyone to promote and stuff like that, it happens, but I think if you are consistent, persistent, and you like push forward, like I think you will see success with this. Like one of my most successful students, he got 700 opt-ins and $1,000 or whatever on his first summit. Still ROI because he bought the pilot, so still. But then he built a well over 6-figure business in the health niche because he was in a very competitive industry, the health niche, and he picked the wrong topic a little bit the first time, and then he kind of pivoted. He pivoted to something else, did a little bit better for the second one, and then for the third one, he went into fasting. Like that was like not Health Talks, well, they weren't doing this, and actually Health Talk bought his company, and that went really well for him. So, just kind of stay consistent with it. If you give up after your first summit, you don't see your results, and with anything you do, I think you will, that's kind of fades away. So I think that's what I see with my students and anyone else who's seen success. You just kind of push forward.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
So true. Okay, we're going to open up to some Q&A. In order for the podcast to have it, I will repeat the question. Just go ahead. You can kind of raise your hand. Let me see who we got coming first. Okay, so I'm going to kick off the first question, and then we're going to go over here. But go ahead. Let's get some questions out. We'll have about 15 minutes for some Q&A. And you're going to be an open book, right? They can ask you anything,
They can ask me
right?
anything.
Somebody asked him about how Lisbon School did. I want to hear those results, right? First question I'm going to ask about is, and I'm going to paint the picture here. There is a famous kind of photo floating around from a summit that you've run where you were the host, and you were doing an interview.
Okay.
And you were interviewing a quite famous person, then and now, named Neil Patel.
Uh-huh.
And he's laying in his bed while you're doing the interview. Tell me what was going on with that and what you were thinking. So so everybody knows Navid shows up to do an interview with, imagine whoever the rock star is in your industry. The person is laying in bed on his pillow holding a computer. So talk us through that moment.
Yeah, I forgot which one that was for, but yeah, that was one of my summits. Not for the recent one, he was a little bit better, but yeah. But obviously, I love what Neil is doing. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, but I think still, if you're an influencer, you should show up a little bit better than that. Like Neil. Yeah.
Come on, Neil.
I think so.
Come on.
Honestly,
Neil.
He does, but it does kind of his style a little bit. So anyway, I was like.
So it wasn't planned then?
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
absolutely not. It was I was like, okay, well, we do it. I mean, that's one of the. Sometimes you will have that, right? When you have a guest, it's hard to. He's a smart. I mean, if you know Neil, he's a very smart guy. I mean, he's doing everything. He's on all platforms, crushing it, right? But it's hard when you interview him because he said everything, repeating it on his blog and everywhere a million times, right? So you have to pull things out of him. That gets a little tricky. So you have to just kind of plow forward. Don't you really care if he gives a one-sentence answer or something, or not say anything good sometimes. So you just have to go with it, and that usually goes well. It's maybe not my favorite one I've done, but it's still
getting attention even now, right?
Yeah, that's good.
All right, Robbie, we'll go here.
So, huge fan of BSM and Navid's work. How do you decide when you should go to the 2.0 or when you should take your same conference to the next to iterate?
Yeah.
So to restate the question, how do you know when to create the next version of your product or materials?
It was more that I wasn't kind of happy with where it was at. Personally, I saw I can improve on it. And if someone, the 3.0, for example, took us hundreds of hours to put together, like so much, because we created fill in the blank copy for everything. We reiterated what I've done, but we also looked at like all my student summits and saw what was working, and then we created fill in the blank copy that can work pretty much for everyone, like universal. You just kind of fill in the blank for your summit. And so I saw certain things that I wanted to have myself that I couldn't do it for the 2.0, so I wanted to bring certain things to a 3.0. And for list building school, I had a 1.0 for that one, and that went really well as well. But I wanted to make the quality better, because I had upped my studio, my production, all this. I've become better at what I do, so I wanted to just up the quality. And also it was like, things had changed a little bit, I guess, and I wanted to just kind of have an updated version of it that I could use, and also think with evergreen in mind, because I wasn't really doing that as much when the first one happened, and I just brought it, full scale. Everything I've learned, everything I teach in VSM and I've done for clients and students have done, I just implemented it myself.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the Summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.